In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some really great reasons why I think men in particular should be hip thrusting more. I'm going to give you a demo of the exercise and how to effectively perform hip thrusts first, and then we're going to dive into those really great reasons. Follow along and I'll show you how. So first off are barbell hip thrusts and how to perform these. So I like to instruct these from kind of top down really. Now what I mean by top down is that I like to find the set position for your hip thrust with body weight alone and from the top before actually even putting that barbell on or before rolling that barbell on. So what we're going to do on our bench, we're using a hip thruster bench here, which is a really great height. We're going to get to that top position where we're going to find where our shins are roughly vertical at the top. So bear in mind, I'm not using any weight right now. So I'm just going to make note there of where my shins are vertical and where my heels are. Just going to pop my butt down. And then wherever my heels are at this point, I'm just gonna put a little marker, so it can be a mobile phone, it can be a protein shake or whatever you've got. Now what happens then is when I roll that bar on and set up with that full barbell hip thrust, I know exactly where my feet need to be. So that's what I mean by kind of a top-down teaching method with that. So I'm gonna roll my bar on. If I've got a little pad over here, then you might want to use that for that extra little bit of padding across your hips. I don't necessarily need one today. So we're going to roll that bar on. I'm going to find that position where my shoulder blades are just sat on the corner of the bench. And then again, I'm going to find that position where my heels are level with that marker that I set from the beginning of the actual instruction video. From there, what I'm going to do is focus on keeping my chin down, my rib cage is down. So I'm always contracting my abs, contracting my core to keep my rib cage down. And then I'm going to squeeze my butt to initiate the movement, and then I think of this as a cock up movement, so it's putting my pelvis up towards my ribs. So I'm going to pull my pelvis up towards my ribs, squeeze my butt, rib cage stays down, chin stays down, squeeze my butt at the top, okay? So return all the way down towards the floor, squeeze my butt, ribs down, and then repeat. So really focusing on that contraction and that squeeze at the top where my glutes are really hitting that shortened range of motion. So that's the barbell hip thrust. Give that one a go. Here are some great reasons why you, especially as men, need to be doing this one more often. So first reason why men should hip thrust more is that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson hip thrusts. You shouldn't need any more reason than that. So let's be fair, nobody likes a pancake butt. Now what I mean by a pancake butt is, you know that look some guys and even girls have when you're wearing a pair of jeans or something and there's not much to show in terms of a behind. And that's because there's not much muscular development back there. Now, the hip thrust, in my opinion, is one of the best exercises, if not the best exercise, for growing your glutes. So if you want to subject your glutes to hypertrophy, i.e. grow your glutes, then the hip thrust is gonna be your go-to. So a really great reason for using glute bridges is if you're using deadlifting patterns. Now, you should be using deadlifting or hip hinge patterns to strengthen your glutes and your hamstrings anyway. But especially if you focus on building strength in that pattern, so for example, deadlifts off the floor, you're a power lifter, or you really just want to improve that deadlift off the floor, then glute bridges are a really great option to build that end range glute strength. Now, what I mean by that is, I'll just give you a quick demonstration. So what I mean by end range is almost from here, so from just above your knees to that lockout at the top. Now I'll demonstrate just from the side. Now just those final few degrees here are where my glutes are reaching that shortened range of motion. So if my glutes are weak, I'm gonna really struggle to get that bar over my knees, especially my back as well if that's weak, but I'm gonna be struggling to get the bar over my knees and then to lock out at the end. If I start throwing some glute bridges and hip thrust variations into my programs, instantly I'm going to see an improvement in my deadlift lockout. Give that a go if you want to start improving your deadlift lockouts. Hip thrusts are a really great exercise for improving your sport speed and athletic performance as well. They're a really great strengthening exercise for your glutes, and your glutes in particular are really important for that top end speed as well as acceleration as well. One way I like to program them in is almost as a general strengthening exercise, so obviously focusing on progressive overload, and then kind of specializing a little bit more into more the on the field stuff by having something in between. Now what I like to do for that is more sled based work. So imagine I've done periods of training or 1 or 2 phases of training where I've used heavy barbell bridges in my training. Then I might do more of a transferable exercise to on the field or on the playing park by doing something like a heavy sled push. So just imagine I've done my heavy glute bridges, okay, now I've got that really good glute strength in that range of motion, that end range of motion. Now when I go on to something like this, some heavy sled pushes, obviously there's no weight on here at the moment, but I go into a heavy sled push, I'm gonna be better at extending my hip all the way because I've got that end range glute strength. And as you can see, just by pushing that sled, it's a slightly more sports specific movement to when I then go into my speed drills, my sprinting drills as well. So there's another one, use heavy hip thrusts as a more transferable exercise to your sports speed and athletic performance. Now everyone thinks about core strength as abs, and while you're not wrong, your core is more than just your abs. So your core is basically every muscle that controls your lumbar, pelvic and hip stability, and that definitely includes your glutes. So whilst most people think about this side of your core and this side of your pelvis and hips, it's this side and down here as well that we need to be thinking about as well. And that's going to be really important, as I said, for helping stabilize that lumbar, pelvic, hip complex. So use hip thrusts to improve your core strength. So, if I'm deadlifting all the time, then that could be deadlifting off the floor, off a few blocks, could be Romanian deadlifts, whatever. Then I'm obviously putting some load through my back. Now, the benefits of using an exercise like the hip thrust is that I can still train my legs, still train my glutes, without having to actually put a lot of load through my back. So that's one of the advantages of hip thrusts, in that I can do them a lot more frequently, a lot more often than if I was doing deadlifts, RDLs, and a lot of other exercises that would typically train your legs as well. So hip thrusts are a really great option if you're looking to train your legs more frequently, but kind of offsetting some of that loading that you'd otherwise get if you're doing more heavy deadlifts, squats, and things like that. So probably my favorite reason for you to start including hip thrusts in your routine is that they're fun. So give this one a go as an example of something that's really fun in a sadistic way for you to try within your workouts. So what I've done here is I've put a resistance band just above my knees. You can put it below your knees if you want to as well, wherever's most comfortable for you. I'm just going to be using a bar pad on this one as well. Now I'm going to roll that bar onto my hips as with my standard hip thrust. Now there, obviously, I'm training hip extension or bent knee hip extension with that hip thrust. By adding the band as well, I'm resisting adduction. So I'm resisting that adduction of my hips. So I'm working those abductors, okay, and those hip external rotators by actually putting that band on there as well, okay? So what I'm gonna do is get in my set position. I'm gonna squeeze my butt first. I'm gonna keep my chin down, ribs down, and drive my pelvis up towards my rib cage at the same time. So I'm going to squeeze, I'm resisting that pulling in at the same time at the top, and then come all the way down, trying to get that full range of motion, focus on that big squeeze at the top. If you want to add something to that as well, what you can do is you can do, say, 8 to 10 reps of that, keep your band on, slide yourself out from under the bar, sit yourself on the bench behind, and this is a really great superset. And take your legs out as wide as you can, allow your heels or your whole foot to roll in. So I've just pulled that band in and then really kind of abduct my hip out towards the side. So what I can do is 8 to 10 reps of that and then go straight into that superset of seated band abductions as well. Give that one a go, it's hella fun. Let me know how you get along.